Finally, I'm going to talk about my trailer for Reasons Beyond Insanity. Okay, the synopsis for my film is Blair and Abigail are best friends, but after a tragic night out, Abigail is violently murdered by a faceless and nameless killer. Heartbroken, Blair struggles to deal with her grief and starts to fall apart. Unsatisfied with the police's investigation, Blair takes it upon herself to find her best friend's killer. Here are the codes and conventions of a psychological thriller genre. Usually in psychological thrillers, there's lots of low lighting, which creates lots of shadows. They usually use handheld camera to create like a shaky screen. These films are usually set in an urban environment. There's usually low saturation and dull tones, such as in the film The Machinist, in which the saturation is so low it almost looks like it's black and white. Lots of quick editing and quick cuts are used, as well as a change of camera angles to kind of create confusion. Iconography includes reflective surfaces such as mirrors and water, which is very prominent in the psychological thriller film Black Swan, in which mirrors are used all the time to show Nina going crazy. And also makeup that deteriorates throughout the course of the film is a code and convention. First of all, I'm going to talk about urban setting. I have conformed to the convention of having my film set in an urban environment by setting Reasons Beyond Insanity in London and showing that through different shots in my trailer. There are two mid-shots on the London Underground, one of which is Blair and Abigail on the tube, and then another of Blair waiting for the train by herself. The iconic London tube train going past really sends home the message that this is definitely set in London in like a really urban environment. I have also included a time lapse halfway through the trailer to suggest Blair's progression into becoming somebody much darker, whilst also showing the urban environment in which the film is set. I think this is really effective in demonstrating that the film is set like in a big city. Next, I'm going to talk about the low lighting used and how it's created and how shadows are used effectively. Through shooting mainly at night, I've guaranteed that low lighting is being used, which in turn creates many shadows. The close-up shots of Blair show the shadows across her face and make the scene much darker. The bottom left-hand corner shows low lighting being used and makes the shot much more mysterious, as you can't completely see what's happening in the 1 second clip showed in the trailer. The top right hand corner picture is very dark, and the headlights from the car create Blair's silhouette, which is very eerie and creates lots of shadows within the shot. In the top left hand corner picture, there are lots of shadows going across her face as she's walking really quickly down the street and breathing really heavily. And then the middle picture kind of just shows how like the light and dark contrast once again like on the tube, which creates lots of shadow and low lighting, which is very important in a psychological thriller, as it kind of shows the darker side to the protagonist and what's going on in their mind. Next, I'm going to talk about handheld camera. We shot almost all of our trailer by holding the camera to create a slightly shaky effect. I think that this is really necessary in showing the mental instability of the character, as you kind of see the world more through their eyes as everything seems to be shaking and falling apart. You can particularly see it in this close-up shot of Blair walking down the street and the camera moves with her. I adhered to the style of quick editing and using different angles in the flashback sequence of my trailer. Every time you cut back to see Blair embedded, it is from a different angle, as are the flashbacks from the night before. This gives a variety of shots to the trailer and makes the audience a little more confused, as the quick editing doesn't give them that much time to think about what is going on. Quick editing was also used at the end of my trailer in the montage, in which the shots were only about 1 or 1.5 seconds long, so it really created confusion, and that added with the music created lots of suspense and tension, and therefore confused the audience a lot, which is what we were aiming for, as this is a coding convention of psychological thriller trailers. Iconography, there are lots of reflective surfaces in this trailer. In Black Swan, there is a scene where Nina is screaming underwater, and I wanted to replicate that in my trailer by having a close-up shot of Blair doing the same thing. I feel that this is very effective in showing her descent into insanity. There are also a lot of mirrors in psychological thrillers, and by having an over-the-shoulder shot of Blair smashing one shows that she's mentally unstable, and it kind of suggests that she can't deal with what's inside her, and she's like smashing her reflection because she's just has no idea what's going on. Another iconography that we used was makeup. Makeup helps to show the deterioration of the character, and through having Blair's makeup getting worse and worse throughout the trailer through close-up shots, as you can see here, demonstrate well the genre of the film, as she's clearly breaking down in some way. Therefore, I feel like we've adhered to the conventions of iconography used in psychological thriller trailers. Finally, I'm going to talk about the high angle camera used. This helps show vulnerability of the protagonist and is used in lots of other psychological thriller trailers. So here we've got Blair having a nightmare in bed, and when we're on the tube, and it's kind of like the angle slightly higher, it shows her being she's just really vulnerable all the time because she's just going insane inside, and she's really like weak in that sense. She doesn't know what to do, and she's kind of panicking, and I feel like we've showed that well through using a high angle camera. That is the end of my question 1.